Hey everyone, it's Jelly Belly Forever, and this was a requested video from Cute Pangy. She wanted me to give her some basics about resin, and I want to start off by saying that I know I'm definitely not like an expert or anything. I would still consider myself a beginner, and I'm just making this video just to show her and anyone else wanting to start resin just like what I've learned about it so far. You know, most of it is trial and error. I've watched other channels, and you know, I think I'm definitely getting the hang of it now, so I'm hoping to get more people interested in resin. And the very first thing I would suggest doing is to subscribe to these 3 people, because I know there's a lot more channels out there, you know, about resin and everything, so feel free to check those out. I would definitely recommend these 3 channels to anyone starting resin, because this is who I learned from. These are the 3 people I look up to. If I had questions, they answered them. They have plenty of tutorials and anything like that. So please check them out if you're wanting to start resin, and I will just give you like just basics about what I've learned. So hopefully these tips will help you. The first thing you need to know about resin is it a very expensive craft. Like, it's not something that, you know, if you're not really sure, you know, you might just want to try it out. You know, it takes a lot of money to get started, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. The resin itself is like $20 to $30, you know, just to get started. I'm gonna pick you up here. This is the resin that I get. I find it at Michael's. I think Hobby Lobby has it. And one tip I would suggest is never ever ever pay full price for this stuff. I get it with a coupon all the time, and if you go to like michaels.com, hobbylobby.com, you know, whatever craft store you go to that carries it, go to their website, look up their ad, and there's usually always a coupon to use. So never ever ever pay full price, because it is just insanely expensive, and I haven't paid full price so far, and I swore when I started this craft that I never would. So I will show you what you get here. You get bottle A, which is the resin, and you can see it says resin right there. And you get bottle number 2, which is hardener. See, hardener. This stuff is very, very toxic stuff. You know, some people are allergic to it. I get it on my skin all the time, and I'm one of those people that has sensitive skin, and it's never bothered me, but I would suggest, like, never ever ever get it in your mouth. I've read some of the stuff on this label, and it's pretty scary stuff, so yeah, just make sure it's in a ventilated area. Oops, I'm not going to try to put those away right now. Make sure it's in a ventilated area, because the fumes are kind of crazy. And don't get it on your hands. You can wear rubber gloves. If you get it on your hands, wash them. The stuff is kind of hard to get off of your skin though. And another thing that I've learned is put a piece of newspaper or something down when you're doing resin, because my boyfriend had to use a razor blade and scrape off little tiny puddles of resin off of our countertop, because like I was just kind of pouring in from the cup or whatever, dripping little piles here and there, and I didn't really notice it. Yeah, it's not easy to get off. So definitely put something down to protect the counters. So the next thing you're going to have to buy, that I would recommend you buying, I should say, is some cups. And you're going to have to use these to measure. I just get these at Walmart, very cheap, and I like these because they have these ridges on them, and I use those to measure. What I do is I take a marker, and it's usually just the bottom one there because I don't do too much at once, but I just put a mark on the cups, because you have to have the exact amount of resin and the exact amount of hardener, 1-to-1 ratio. So you pour one in each of these cups. Then you combine them into a third cup. And you're going to stir it, you know. Tattoo Cookie has a full-blown like resin tutorial, so she will go in depth about these steps. But once you get it in there, you're going to want to stir for a few minutes with wooden sticks. I get these at Walmart, but you know, Michael's has like tons of them, like 500 or something for really cheap, so you know, check those out. Just any kind of stick. I would suggest even cutting these in half. You know, that will help to save money. Just keep the cost down. Because you don't really need a whole stick. You know, you're just stirring it and then using it to scrape out. So, air bubbles are one of the worst things about resin. You're going to have to stir it very slowly, you know, just so you don't get air bubbles. Some people can stir it really fast, get a ton of air bubbles, and then somehow magically make them disappear. Like, I'm still a beginner, so I'm not going to attempt that, but blowing on them with hot air, like you would blow on a mirror or something to see your breath, like that helps to get rid of them too, I found. So, you know, just air bubbles are the hardest thing. I find it easier to stir it for a couple of minutes, and then I use a hair dryer on the low setting just to warm up the resin. I just blow lightly on the cup with the hair dryer while I'm stirring it, and you know, it warms it up, gets rid of most of the air bubbles, and then after that I just let it sit for, you know, about 5 minutes just to let it settle. All the air bubbles usually come to the top, so check out Tattoo Cookie's tutorials for further in-depth tips, because yeah, she has like a 7-part series. So the next thing that you're going to need is something to put your resin into, and that would be a mold. So this is another part that can get expensive. There are a few different kinds of molds you can use. There are these silicone flexible molds that are usually used for baking. This one came to me in a buddy package, but as you can see, it's cut. It was a much larger piece, and those are very pricey. So you can get most of these like from trades for cheap, you know, like people willing to trade things for you, and then they can cut off a part of their mold. Here's a flexible mold that I found at the dollar store for $1. So around the holidays, check it like Dollar Tree or any kind of dollar store, and you know, they have these little ice cube trays, but they're flexible molds. You can get those for $1. There are these kind of molds, which this is dirty, I haven't cleaned it yet, but these are like the hard plastic molds, mostly used especially for resin or soap making. So those can be pricey. Young Sim sells them for a lot cheaper than I've seen anyone else sell them for. So if you're wanting to buy molds like this, you know, check out her mold video. And then there's Amazing Mold Putty, which you can use with resin as well. So those are the kind of molds you use. And then what I do is I pour a very thin layer of resin into the mold. Let's say I'm using this one. I pour a very thin layer into it, and then I add stickers. And there's a few different kinds of stickers. My favorite kind of stickers are ones that you don't have to coat, and that would be like these foil stickers, puffy, like plastic stickers, anything like that. You don't have to coat those, but if you're using like paper stickers, this would be an example. Just normal, like most stickers are like that you would get at a store. You have to coat these extremely, front and back, completely with Mod Podge. That's this stuff here. You have to coat it. Tattoo Cookie recommends several coats. Getting it very well coated, because if you put a sticker in here with resin not coated, it's going to, I mean, if you're using the paper stickers, I should say, and you just stick it in here not coated, it's going to ruin the sticker. You're going to have like ugly spots all over it from where resin has soaked into it. So definitely recommended that you coat it or just use stickers that don't have to be coated. Now, once you get your stickers in, you're going to have to hang around. Like, I would not recommend just pouring resin and then leaving for the day, because you're going to want to stick around and pop any air bubbles that you see. I use a toothpick. And then if you have puffy stickers like this, which are my favorite to use, but they're a pain because they like to wander off, I should say. You don't want your puffy stickers to wander off. So if you put them in here, you're going to notice that they move around, you know, slightly. They float to the top. So you have to keep pushing them down into the mold and making sure that they stay in place. Because if you just stick them in there and leave it alone until the resin dries, then, you know, your sticker could end up here or over here, or, you know, float all the way to the top and it's all crooked. So you have to keep an eye on puffy stickers. Now, your next thing that you may want, which is optional, of course, stickers are optional as well. You can put anything in there, but glitter. Once I have like a hard layer after my stickers, I add glitter. And yeah, any kind of glitter. Recollections is definitely my favorite glitter. Martha Stewart has awesome glitter, but I have a very hard time finding it. My Michaels doesn't carry a Martha Stewart glitter for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, any kind of glitter. And what I was doing was putting glitter down and then putting another layer of resin on top of it. But then I was finding, my cat's about ready to make a guest appearance. I was finding that glitter was floating to the top of the resin, and it looks kind of bad. So Tattoo Cookie suggests that you put your resin down, put glitter on, let it dry, and then you can shake that excess glitter off, and then put a layer of resin on top of that, so there's no floating pieces of glitter everywhere. So if that makes sense, then good. Okay, so after your resin is dry, you have all the layers, everything that you want to add to it. You get very creative. You know, you could put little beads in there, anything. You're going to want to pop it out. These, you just kind of shift it around like an ice cube tray, get it out of there. These are the easiest by far. You can just peel those out, turn it upside down and peel them off, and they come right out. You're going to have, you know, your resin piece. This one is finished, but let's just say that it's not. So you turn it over, and your resin piece is going to have hard edges. So you're going to need a nail file. I have a big metal file that I use, and you just sand around the bottom edge, and you know, that's it. If you are using a mold that's not shiny, like this is not shiny, these aren't shiny, so this is not going to be shiny. So you're going to have to coat it with, this is what I use, triple thick. They also have a spray, like an aerosol triple thick, that I was thinking about trying. But you have to put a coat of that on it to make it nice and shiny. And sometimes you can see brush strokes with like a brush on glaze, but you know, that's your preference, whatever you want to use. And then another optional thing would be these bales. These help to make a resin piece like this into a charm. And this is what they look like. You find them in your findings section, and you just attach them with a glue like this or super glue. And that's about it. So this video is almost 15 minutes, so I hope you got some helpful tips here. Please check out the channels that I recommended earlier. They definitely know what they're doing. So please rate, comment, and subscribe, everybody. Thank you.